Yeah, yeah, I'd like to welcome you all to, we all hear, yes, okay, you okay, Ken? Well, I'd like to welcome you all to the February 17, 2015 Township Committee meeting and ask you to all join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we start, I'd like to welcome and thank you all for coming on a night that is not exactly ideal for hanging out. I'd also like to remind you that there are, in the course of the meeting, 2 opportunities for public comment. The first is early on, comments from the public for items listed on the agenda only, and then the second is further on toward the end of the meeting for comments on anything your little heart desires. That's after the Township Committee liaison reports. So we have a lot on the agenda. Now, Karen, I thought we were having a canine visit. Are they waiting for us to signal? Okay, Vita had said they wanted to go. Tim, do you want to go see if they want to come in? We're going to the dogs tonight. All right, I would like to introduce Corporal, oh my gosh, I'm having a moment, help me. Chris Haycock and Ronan, and Sergeant Carlos Ferrero and Polis. All right, show us. Polis is our newest member. Did I get along?
Yeah. What do you want to say?
I don't know. What do you want to do? You want to walk around the room and just tell us what you're doing, or?
All right, 1 second. Here.
I don't know.
He'll do, I guess, a narcotic side.
Okay.
And then he'll do some patrol work.
All right.
All right, this is King Roden. He's 7.5. He's a patrol narcotics dog. What I'll do is I'll do a search in this room, and obviously in that box there's some drugs. What Roden does when he finds the drugs, he'll start scratching, and then he'll get rewarded with his toy. And then afterwards, Sergeant Ferrero, he'll show Polis. He just finished patrol school, and in patrol school, he's taught how to track lost or missing people. He's taught how to fight and apprehend someone. He's taught how to find article searches, or do an article search where someone loses something like your keys, or a piece of equipment, or like a knife or something from a burglary. He's taught to find that. But what we'll do, we'll demonstrate Polis. He'll invite my partner Terry. So I'll do a quick narcotic search real fast. So I always ask them if you want to go to work. And then I can explain that. In this box is some drugs, and then he'll keep doing that until he gets employed.
Oh, he found some.
He'll start scratching. And what he's looking for is his reward, his towel. So So he's called an aggressive indicating dog. And the reason, right. So what he does is, like if I'm on the side of a car on the road and we suspect that someone's using or transporting narcotics, hey, down. And they're not giving us consent to search a vehicle or they have someone hidden, I give Ronan the command and he'll go around the exterior of the car and he'll smell all the door seams. And once he smells the odor of the narcotics, then he'll start scratching on the car. And then as soon as he starts scratching, that's when he tells me that there's narcotics in the vehicle and where they're at. So that's a big help for us. And he does the same thing when we go to school, inside the house. People hide stuff all over the place. You know, we train them. You know, sometimes there's kids up in the ceiling tiles and we don't know where they're at, where the doors are at. Ronan will go and we'll sniff it. Once he finds it, he'll start jumping up at a wall. You want to hear that?
Yeah. He'll.
So this is Canine Polis. He's from Hungary. He's about 14, 15 months old in that area. He just finished patrol school about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago he finished patrol school. That's where we learned all the trafficking, finding, and the criminal apprehension. Actually, 12 hours out of patrol school, we tracked a 13-year-old boy for 2.5 miles in Readington Township.
Oh my gosh.
On hard surface, which is very difficult to do. 45 minutes after the boy ran away from his home. So they're an asset in themselves. And we did another track in Lake Cushionong. We found that good. So
He's going to need to keep already?
yeah. I mean, that in itself is worth that we found.
Absolutely.
But he still has a lot growing up to do, as you can tell. He's not like running yet. But what I'll do is I'll have Terry come up. I'll do a criminal apprehension, and I'll have him bite and hold. I'll have him release, and then I'll be able to pat him down, and he'll just stay in his position. I also told him numerous things. While we're in there, we give him a building announcement. Mr. Police! You're under arrest! All this, that's a joke. So now he knows what he's doing. So Terry, you can get your sleeve. Stay. Sit. So I can stand here and talk to him after I had a bite and release them, take him into custody, and he'll just stay there and watch him as he's going down. But then I can give him another command. Give him!
Ronan's jealous.
I'm guilty.
No, I'm not sleeping.
That's just the
The two, yes.
But that's it. But we can do a lot more outside.
Yeah.
Right? Just show you what we're doing now. And that's just in a short amount of time.
Does it feel good to be on the dog end as opposed to the sleeve end?
In school, you're taking dogs all day long.
So you're
Yeah.
Now you have another series of training, or you're done?
Yes, for narcotics. We do our
Okay.
So what they do is they have to get a break in between start one. So that's a lot quicker. More fun for them.
Right. Well, thank you all for coming, and congratulations and good luck, and Ronan, keep on doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Ronan, rather than play.
He's retired.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you, Chris.
He's retired.
What's that?
Is he retired?
No.
Not yet? I knew they would have us. Would you like one of those? I don't think so.
Okay, moving right along.
He's retired.
All right. In executive session, we moved by polling to hire a very part-time, by telephone poll, because we needed to act on it, to hire an intern for the museum. We had consensus on Barbara Krasner, who is going to work in the museums for 15 hours a week from now, not to go past August 1st at $13 an hour. So that has already been approved, but I wanted to go on record. Do I need a motion to validate that, or what would be the word?
Would be to confirm.
To confirm. All right. Then I need a motion to confirm the hiring of Barbara Krasner at $13 an hour for 15 hours a week, not to go past August 1st.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy? Yes.
Mr. Tropella?
Mayor Ford?
Yes. All right, Personnel Municipal Court, I need a motion to hire Elizabeth Giuliano as violations clerk, part-time, 26 hours a week at $15 an hour. There's a magic spot between feedback and deaf. I need a motion to approve Elizabeth Giuliano. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropella?
Yes.
Mayor Ford? Yes. Just for a minute, I know last time there were times when you couldn't hear all of us. If you can't hear us at any point, just raise your hand and we'll talk louder or bring the mic closer or something. Thank you. Personnel, Three Bridges Library. I need a motion to hire Jane Downer as a part-time replacement for Lorraine Post, $15 an hour. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please. Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropella?
Yes.
Mayor Ford? Yes. All right, Personnel Police Department. We have 2 patrolmen who have completed their probationary period, and we're going to move to make them permanent and have them progress to the next grade level. The first is Patrolman Terry Wolverton, who completed his probationary period on February 3rd. Do I have a motion to make Patrolman Wolverton permanent and have him progress to the next grade level?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropella?
Yes.
Mayor Ford? Yes. The second one is Patrolman Jack Mazzellin, who completed his probationary period on February 11th. I need a motion to make Patrolman Mazzellin permanent and have him progress to the next grade level. Do I have
So
that
moved.
motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropella?
Yes.
Mayor Ford? Yes. All right, I need a motion, and this is an addition to the agenda, to reappoint Michael Wright as a temporary plumbing subcode official for 30 days or until the position is filled at the same rate that he has been working, effective February 20th. Do I have a motion to reappoint Michael Wright?
Motion approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A roll call, please. Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropella?
Yes.
Mayor Ford? Yes. Personnel, Department of Public Works, summer help. We hire 2 high school, usually college students, to help out in the Public Works Department, usually mowing, helping taking care of the parks and fields. One of the gentlemen who we had last summer has moved on to other things, so we have to hire a new person, and we also have another one returning. So first I need a motion to hire Tom Sikella, who is returning at the rate of $11 an hour as summer help in the Department of Public Works. Do I have that motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropello?
Yes.
Mayor Ford?
Yes. The second one is to hire Michael. I need a motion to hire Michael Daniello at the rate, who would be a first year, at the rate of $10 an hour as temporary summer help in the Department of Public Works. Do I have a motion to approve Michael Daniello?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropello?
Yes.
Mayor Ford?
Yes. Whew. Okay. Contract negotiations, Public Works employees, Teamsters Local 469, that stays in. Contract negotiations, buildings and grounds, Teamsters Local 469, that stays in. Contract negotiations, PBA Local 317, that stays in. Contract negotiations, Lorenzen Block 44, Lot 402, that stays in. Attorney-client privilege, executive session minutes. I need a motion to approve them for content only.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that the one that had the,
No, that was the regular
That's
minute.
right, okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Potential litigation, Ifrika Osawe et al., 202 Dovecote Court. I need a motion to authorize Sharon Dragan to file an answer with the State Superior Court on this one.
So,
Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
All in roll call or
Roll call.
no? All in favor? All in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, litigation, Ryland Developers LLC, that stays in. Litigation, Transco Gas Pipeline versus the Township of Readington, Garfield Zwierink et al. I need a motion authorizing Sharon to represent the township in these proceedings.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, litigation, Block 48, Lot 23, Block 55, Lot 33, Block 56, Lots 1, 3, 6, 8, etc. Solberg Aviation, that stays in. Okay. Report on executive session. Let me find that. Okay. Somebody help me with that. I guess it's here somewhere. Okay. There's nothing to, yeah, we just did that. All right. Consent agenda. All items with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the Township Committee and will be enacted in by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a committee member or citizen requests, in which event an item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. John, you want to?
There is one item, correction
Well,
on the
let's remove the minutes from, and then
January 20th.
approve the consent agenda, and then go back to the minutes, all right? All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. This is roll
That's a roll call? Roll call? All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No money's being spent.
Okay. Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
yes.
Mr. Tropello? Mayor Ford?
Yes. All right, let's look at the approval of the minutes, and John has a correction, so.
On page 2 of 29, item number 2, regarding the motion and its second, it should be Mrs. Duffy versus Mr.
This is weird, because I shouldn't have made the motion either. Okay, I'm calling for a motion.
Hmm?
Well, who knows what happened there? Okay. Do you see what I mean, Sharon? I shouldn't have made the motion either. Can we hold off on approving the minutes and go back to the tape and see what? Yeah, because I shouldn't have made, as mayor, I shouldn't have made the motion either, so, good catch there, John. All right, comments from the public for items listed on the agenda only. Any comments from the public? Okay. Correspondence and other information. We have a lot of correspondence. I don't know if there's anything that anybody needs to, does anybody have anything they want to address with any of this? I don't think any of it requires any action on our parts.
I was just curious, item number 4, Elizabeth Town, actually 5, Elizabeth Town Gas, one of these is, do any residents in Readington have Elizabeth Town Gas? I wasn't sure, I thought it was all
PSE&G. I don't know. I mean, we have so many arms that reach out to different directions. I don't know. Anybody here you have Elizabethtown or?
Three Bridges.
Three Bridges? No, because Jeff has PSE&G. No, that's his electric. He doesn't have gas. Okay, so maybe Three Bridges then, yeah. All right. All right, anything else in correspondence? All right, new business. Request for the replacement of White House Rescue Squad equipment, letter dated January 12th from Jeff Herzog, Chief, White House Rescue Squad.
Good evening. Sign here, or is it not necessary?
I think you're probably, we didn't, Vita's sick and we didn't do that. We know who you are. We know that you knew. Is the sheet there? Is there? All right, then do it, just so that we have it.
All right, so we'll start off with the introduction of myself, Jeff Herzog, Chief of White House Rescue. To my left is Giorgio Thaki, he's the Assistant Chief of Rescue Services. And Tim Apgar speaking on behalf of the White House Fire Company and the Readington Township Emergency Services Organization, who we all work together. So I think you all have a proposal in front of you that I put together a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to go through word line by line tonight for essence of time, so I'll highlight some of the issues that we want to talk about tonight. So who is the White House Rescue Squad? We are Readington Township's Rescue Squad. We cover the entire township, all 47 square miles from the Route 78 area all the way to 202. So we are the only squad that serves Readington as primary, and we've been doing this since 1950. We provide emergency medical services with our ambulances, so we pick up patients, transfer them to the hospital, and provide care to them. We're also responsible for the technical rescue and the removal of patients from motor vehicle accidents. And that's what we're talking about tonight is the rescue services unit that we have, which is the primary unit that is used for motor vehicle accidents and technical rescues. We're 87 members strong. We're a hybrid department with career and volunteers. You'll see on page 4 our call volume statistics. We are constantly trending up with calls, and in 2014 we had 1,676, and total patients out of that was 1,998. So on the average, 5 residents, 5 people per day rely on our services. If you really boil it down to a number, and it's a realistic number, 5 people that require our services. So the situation we have now is we have shared in the township's belt tightening, fiscal belt tightening over the last couple of years. 20-something years ago, I can't remember if it was 21 or 22 years ago, the township committee started a rotation for apparatus. And the rotation was on a 5-year annual basis, where every 5 years, 4 fire departments in the squad would get apparatus allocated to them that was township owned. And that continued for 15 or 16 or so years. And 6 years ago, the committee stopped that to save money. So we all shared in the belt tightening and operated very lean during that time to test pressure apparatus out. So A couple years ago, when that stopped, everything got backed up as far as purchases, similar to what the DPW had a situation a couple years ago when dump trucks got backed up and needed to make a couple purchases at once. So last year, the Emergency Service Organization approached the Township Committee and asked them to reinstate that vehicle apparatus rotation on an as-needed basis. So last year, the White House Fire Company was allocated some bonded funds for a pumper that was replaced for a couple of years. It was how old? 21-year-old truck that they replaced last year. And this year, we're looking to have our rescue services unit replaced, which is also 21 years old. It was purchased in '94, and for the last 21 years, it's been used pretty heavily. At this point, it needs to be removed from the frontline service because it is having some corrosion issues, some electrical issues, mechanical issues. 2 days ago, we found a big antifreeze leak in it, so we have to have it sent out for work now. And a lot of times the vehicle doesn't start, so it's not a good situation. There's a major accident outside, and we need to get there and we can't. So this truck is a '94 Volvo. There's a picture of it on page 8. I'm sure you've seen it around town over the past 21 years. And this responds to all the motor vehicle accidents, to technical rescues, to water rescue calls. And this is the only truck that's equipped like this in the whole township of Readington. So this serves all 47 square miles. As I said before, we're charged with responding to motor vehicle accidents when there's injuries and traffic. And this is the vehicle that is used to transport the personnel and the equipment to get the people out of the cars. Okay. Jaws of life, I think that's a very term that everybody's familiar with. They've seen it from years ago. And the jaws of life is what is housed primarily on this truck and other automobile extrication equipment. We're a very busy organization within the county. We're the busiest with accidents because we have 202, Interstate 78, 523, 629, 620, 31, 22, 202. So we have a lot of highways that we cover. So this truck has gone out 194 times last year alone. The subsequent pages on page 9, 10, 11 is all the detailed equipment that we carry in the truck. Like I said before, the main equipment that we have in this truck is the jaws of life and all stabilization equipment for motor vehicle accidents. We're 78. We get big trucks and tractor trailers that we have to bring all the tools and equipment and personnel to take care of the situation. So the issues with this current unit, as you can see on page 13, has structural corrosion issues. There's a picture of it down below. The actual compartment starts to rot out on the bottom, becomes unrepairable, and sometimes it doesn't start, so it's not a good situation. We replaced the transmission 3 times in this truck, and it's a heavy-duty transmission that costs $12,000. So in 21 years, we've driven this thing pretty hard and used it for a lot of different calls. So technology is old in this truck as well. The personnel that are seated in the back are in an unsafe situation because they just have a lap belt on. They don't have a 3-point harness as we would have in their vehicles or their cars. So getting people to the scene is a dangerous situation, as well as the equipment is not really placed in the truck properly, so we have premature equipment failure because it's flopping around without being secured properly. Back then, this was designed 25 years ago, and it served the needs of the township for the past 21 years. So it's been a good truck to us, but now it's time to look at replacing. Most people in this room don't have cars that are 21 years old, never mind the emergency vehicle that's out on the road saving lives. So page 14, I put some comparable towns and what they have for their trucks, so you can see in comparison that we're looking at a smaller unit for to be more conservative. Flemington Raritan was purchased a couple of years ago. That's a $1.1 million truck. Clinton has one for almost $800,000, and we decided that with what we could do with our truck is make it smaller, make it more efficient, and more economical, and more affordable. We don't need this overkill as some other departments have done, so we want to make sure that you know what we're looking at. We also have a partnership with Clinton and Flemington to share and pool equipment. So if there's a big incident, let's say there's a structural collapse or something happens, the 3 squads respond, we work together, we share equipment and tools. We all have specialized equipment that we share together, so we don't have to all buy a concrete saw or certain equipment that's $25,000, $30,000 a piece, or one department can buy it, and we share what we train on. We also do this with the fire departments. The fire departments cross-train with us, especially White House fires, or a direct neighbor. We have a good partnership with them where they cross-train on our truck, and they cross-train with our members on vehicle execution. The other fire departments help out as well, so they can utilize this vehicle if they need to use it for their season as well. It does have fire ground rehab supplies for big fires. The police department uses the truck occasionally for night scenes or motor vehicle accidents if you need to let it scene or criminal investigation. So it's a shared resource within the whole township. It's not just to us here. So a couple years ago, we put a committee together to start the process of research and came up with this design as our final design. And we looked at many different concepts. We were going real small, we were going real big. So we decided to go medium-sized truck that was more affordable and would fit the needs for the residents for at least 25 years. This technology in this truck is state-of-the-art, safe for the rescuers, and the big thing is bringing 25 years out of this truck. So the next 25 years, this truck's going to be sitting in Readington doing the thing it's doing today. Of course, maintenance and upgrades over those years will have to happen, but this is a solid, well-built unit that is built right in Pennsylvania. So there's warranties on the truck. Just like you buy a vehicle, there's warranties, so you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to spend a year on maintenance and repairs, and it's a much safer unit. So we have a proposed unit you can see on page 16, and this is a rescue vehicle that's built by KMB, which happens to be the same manufacturer that the White House Fire Company used last year for their pumper truck, and it's built in PA. So it's also on the HVAC contract, which I'm familiar with that. I'm sure the township has some knowledge of that. We use that last year with the fire company for the purchase, so it eliminates a lot of the costly bid bonds and the bid process, saving $1,000 on something like that. So the cost of this unit is $625 as equipped and delivered. It's actually a little bit less than that. By the time the order would go in, there's different discounts available. So we get the vehicle ordered at a certain time, there's some discounts available, and some other cost saving measures that we can look at as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim Apgar. He has a few things to talk about.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor. Tim Apgar, Chief of White House Fire Company. If you recall, in 2014, we presented you with a proposal to continue the rotation. And in that, we gave an estimated cost of our truck, which cost in 2009, the rescue in 2010, and so forth. The number that we used was from 2010, $350,000. So you can see in 5 years, the cost factor that has gone up. It's a unit that is needed, it's greatly needed, and as Jeff stated, we've experienced it being out of service, and we have to go into Plan B as to what we're going to do for the call, especially when we're up on Route 78. There's additional companies that they can call in if it's time consuming. Especially if we have to go on that highway. I don't know if you probably have seen that highway backed up, and trying to get resources from out of town to us is just, it's unbelievable what you can do. People won't move and do nothing. When the unit out of service, it creates a big headache. It did serve the town, as Jeff said, for 21 years. It's done a good job. But it is time now to replace it. And again, cost factor is there. But the number, again, was, as we presented, was $350,000. That was a 2010 number. You can see the dramatic increase on that. And moving forward, you know, we're dealing with the southern Norfolk line now, which is crude oil. That's, you know, and I don't know if you all caught the news today in Virginia, what happened. And these are items that when Jeff and I sat down, and Jeff was looking at a smaller unit, I said, well, you know, Jeff, we need to make sure that we have this on board, that on board, because we're looking at the future. You know, and Jeff, you know, it's a valid point, and that's why we moved up to a medium-sized unit. We need to get more equipment on this. You know, where the fire apparatus is going to carry a lot of plywood, you know, numerous jaws and so forth like that, to where this unit would have the support. And we're looking to partner with this for weather factors. What is the exact? It's like an indoor tent that you actually inflate on scene, and this unit can carry. That's the weather factors. Van Fleet Road, we got one road that from Branch Progressive that allowed the men to go inside at any time of weather, you know, and so forth. But there's a lot that we need to put on this truck to where, like our pumper last year, we went bigger because we needed more equipment. That's where we are with this. I know it's an absolute price, but it's the economy.
Tim, you said that this was 2010 price. Are your other prices estimates from 2010 as well?
Actually, ours were from 2009, and we actually got it under. In 2009, we got it under what was proposed. But speaking with the other chiefs from last year, like the tower that's going to be due from Readington Fire, you're looking at about 1.1 million when that comes due. So that number, that's probably going to increase, I'm sure of that. The pumper-wise, we use that number based on what, when the next companies are ready, you know, it could be 500, could be a little bit more. Okay, and then if and when the tenders are ready to be replaced. So we can go back and get a better estimate. So the answer to your question is, some were, some wasn't from 2010.
I was wondering, I think what caught my attention, and I think Jeff maybe is the one to respond to this, is the mileage. Look, this piece of equipment has only 39,000 miles on it. What, is it bigger goes less, or?
Well, with emergency vehicles, it's not mileage that counts hours. And this truck, because it has low miles, it still has hours on it because the truck is idling at the scene for many hours of accidents and fire calls. It could be idling there all day long. So for every hour of idle time, you put 100 miles on the truck. But with age comes problems with this because just because it has 38,000 miles on it compared to 138,000 miles, the parts still wear, the parts still age, the hoses crack, all the rubber parts are become hard and need to be replaced. The problem I have with this, the truck is so old that you can't find parts for it. So the truck sits out of service for weeks when there's custom parts being made for this truck that normally would be much more readily available if it had been new.
I might just add, I think, to Jeff's think equipment like this, mileage, you know, gets you there, but all the internals and the things that are running all the other equipment are what's going, you know, continually. So those are the things that wear out, and those are the things that are needed at the scene. So I think in addition to the transmission, which probably drives a whole bunch of things other than the wheels, so to speak. You know, there's a lot of wear and tear on these
Yeah, the transmission was replaced 3 times in 38,000 miles. That just doesn't seem like it's a good truck.
Exactly.
Well, it's a Volvo, though.
It's a Volvo.
Why is it not a good truck?
It's a good truck, but when the squad made the decision 25 years ago to purchase this truck, it wasn't a heavy-duty truck at that point. So it's a Volvo, but it's designed for a 5-year cycle of being a year truck. And pets and delivery truck where they, every 5 years, the companies will run it and throw it away. This truck lasted 21 years because it's been taken care of. So you won't see any of these trucks on the road nowadays because they're all gone.
Jeff, you
I
correct?
still don't get the 3 transmissions in 38,000 miles. That
It
doesn't make sense to
it
me.
had electrical problems, and electrical problems were causing the transmissions to fault. So the dealers, 4 different dealers actually looked at the truck, repair facilities, and replaced 3 of the transmissions at 12,000 pieces. It's not a good situation. Now, knock on wood, the truck is okay with the transmission because we're on our 3rd one, but who knows what's going to happen again.
I'm also dealing out with things like an air conditioner. We haven't had an AC in over 5 years. There's people in the room here that actually have passed out on the middle of Route 22 just doing a heat wave during all that gear and working. By the time they were done, they're just flat on the ground from having to put up with that. So there's a lot of little things that build up.
I think the key thing to remember is the United Lives, as I say, 25 years. I don't think you can count how much that's worth. I think these gentlemen have suffered and been good stewards of what they've been doing for the town through the physical crises that we've had for many years. And I don't know, I've heard some of the stories and seen some of the things that this equipment has, and it scares me that I could be in an accident and not have this start, or have to wait for another town to bring in a truck because this one. So if you ask me, this is probably the most important, most key necessity this town needs to address.
How do you determine, Jeff, when this goes out on a call?
We have policies and procedures that this will start to respond to all motor vehicle accidents, fire calls, or technical rescue calls. And then, since our ambulance crew gets there first, or the police get there first, they will downgrade the incident if this truck is not needed there and gets canceled and returns home. A lot of times it does return home, but a lot of times it doesn't, and makes it to the scene and sits there for hours and does the work it needs to do.
Would this piece of equipment fit in your, in the inside?
Yes, yes.
How does it compare in size with the current piece?
It's about the same size. It's different configurations. So the box, where all tools are kept, is about the same size, just different compartments. The cab on this truck is a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, because on this truck you'll see that everybody sits forward of the cab, where it's a safe area. There's airbags and there's 3-point harnesses that everybody can be secured in place. This current truck is called a cab over, Volvo commercial truck. And 2 people can sit up front, and they have no communication with anyone in the back. There's a long bench seat in the back of this truck with just a lap belt for the rescuers to sit. So it's a whole different configuration.
This current truck and the proposed truck don't carry patients, is that true? They just carry tool, equipment, and manpower?
Correct.
You know, if I had won the Powerball last week, it would be ordered already. What I'm looking at here, I mean, I agree that it's, you know, I think you guys do a wonderful job. This level of expense is, I hate to use the word not sustainable, but we're almost at that point. I don't know, does anybody else have any?
Well, I would comment, I mean, things like this are expensive. They're very specialized pieces of equipment. And that's a fact that we're going to have to live with, whether we do this year, next year, 3 years from now. This stuff isn't cheap. It's very specialized equipment. And the way I see it is one of the key responsibilities for township government is public safety. And I think we need to think long and hard about our priorities. And in my view, public safety, whether it be fire, rescue, equipment, police, etc., is one of the things, one of the key things in my view, that local government is charged to do. And I think we need to take that responsibility very seriously. And thereby, I know money's tight, but I think it's incumbent on us to look very hard, very seriously about how we can maintain the level of public safety that I think I and the citizens of this room and others expect.
I would agree with you that it's a top priority, certainly to provide public safety. But I think there's been a lot of call in all areas for shared services across government. And I understand from your proposal that the White House Rescue Squad works in conjunction with Clinton and Flemington as part of the Hunterdon County Technical Rescue Task Force, where you share specialized equipment. And what you've told us here is that Flemington Raritan just purchased a larger truck in 2012 for $1.1 million, and that Clinton Rescue purchased a larger truck in 2009. And I guess what I'm wondering is, with Flemington Raritan to our south with a new truck and Clinton right to our west with a new truck, if they're 10 minutes away, how much do we need to have our very own truck? And can we share services with other
And provided that they're not on the wrong call.
Right.
That's,
And if I may, when we all know this, and last year the committee was presented with this, in 2008, we stopped the rotation for obvious reasons. The current committee is aware of that, except for stuff. When we did this estimate, if we continued the rotation, in 2009, White House Station, we would have 520,000 to a pumper. White House Rescue, again, in 2010, we used the 350,000, so it's actually higher. 2011, Readington Fire Company, that's the tower, 1.1 million. 2012, Three Bridges Fire Company, 500,000. And 2013, East White House Fire Department, 350,000. So had we continued that rotation, we're at $2,835,000 that we didn't spend.
Right, and there's a reason, because
Correct.
because
And
you know, we
we
had a
worked
crash
with-
in the economy in 2008.
And we totally understand that, and we were on board
And we
with
spent
that.
$9 million on solar.
We had to make things, we had to put a lot of Band-Aids on even the pumper that we used. We did a lot of Band-Aids with that, and that's the position that the White House Rescue Squad is involved in now. Jeff has done an excellent job, as well as the fire companies, to utilize the equipment in the town that we have. If there's an accident right here in front of the municipal building, and we need to extricate somebody, immediately, we need that truck there. Okay, and if the Clinton or the Flemington won't be dispatched until someone's on scene and they evaluate what's going on, and then it's like, okay, so now you got time as a factor. And there's a golden rule, number-wise, that when you get on scene, you start extrication, you record, all that stuff's recorded. The golden rule of thumb to get the patient out of the car and transport it, whether it's going to the local hospital or a helicopter to one of the trauma centers. And that's why we rely on that.
Well, shared services means that you reciprocate. If you don't have a truck that works.
that's the point I was going to make.
Well, we have different trucks. I think the idea of shared services is that not every township right next to each other or very close to each other all needs a heavy rescue truck.
Right.
So, for example, neighboring town might have a heavy rescue truck, and we might have some specialized type of other piece of equipment that they don't have.
Right.
What costs money?
As I said before, we're the busiest with accidents. We're busier than Flemington, busier than Clinton. So for us to rely on an outside agency to come in, A, isn't fair to our residents, B, isn't fair to them, because we're not compensating them to come in to use their equipment in our town. And then they would expect reciprocation on their end as well. But we can't provide them anything because we don't have the equipment. So if there's an accident, it's not a 10-minute response time from Flemington to 22 or Clinton to 22. We're looking at about 20 to 25 minutes at the time the crew gets together. They muster their crew, they get their gear together, they get in their truck, and they start responding here. taking a humongous truck like Flemington has and barreling down from Route 12 to Route 22 for a patient's not breathing in a car, and we're standing there with twiddling our thumbs, it's not fair to our residents. I understand shared services, and we do share services. We share services on a larger level with equipment that we don't need in a hurry. And that's how we are able to share and save money.
Jeff, I think Sam made a good point before that this is a unique piece of equipment. It's not something that
Can you speak up?
you can get from, you know,
Speak up.
a fire company.
Right.
But is there a way that we could get a smaller piece of equipment and maintain the same level of the thing?
We have looked through a whole bunch of different designs. Original plan was to start smaller than this, and then we ended up going bigger than this. And because we couldn't fit the equipment in a smaller truck. A smaller truck might save $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 for a smaller truck. We're not going to be able to take the equipment that we need to as we have now. The other big issue is Interstate 78 is a disaster, and it's the most dangerous situation that we can put ourselves in. And we're on the side of the highway performing rescue with our truck, with tractor trailers and cars whizzing by at 60, 70 miles an hour. One brush with one of those is a brush of death. We're done. So the larger truck is able to block that lane and provide a buffer for us. If you block lane with a police car, that police car becomes a projectile right into us. So that's why the larger truck, and this isn't a large truck by any means, but this larger truck, medium truck, will block that area, create a safe zone for us while we're doing the work.
Jeff, a quick question on the shared services with respect to the Flemington and Readington. Does that not serve both Flemington Borough and Readington Township?
As well as Delaware Township and further areas out there as well.
So it's typically stretched, so to speak, or shared.
Well, we have a very good system in Hunterdon County with squad and fire department and rescue for sharing services. So we're to the point where we can't share anymore without getting dangerous, because we're skipping towns and covering other areas that are not needed for large rescues, like you said. For example, let's take a small town in Kingwood. They don't need a large rescue like this because they have Flemington to help them out, and they don't have the volume of accidents. They have very few accidents out there in the 12 area. Readington is unique. The shape of Readington is very unique, and the amount of major highways that pass through it is unique. We're 47 square miles, 19,000 people, residents, and we have a lot of traffic. So we're the busiest, and it's not fair to rely on somebody else to come in and do our work for us.
Do you go to the show and whatnot?
Yeah.
Would they be willing to?
They give us a very little amount of money. Sometimes they'll come through and give us a $5,000 check. Sometimes it's $2,100. It's not, even though they're corporate giants, they don't donate like you would expect.
Jeff, how about, are there other sources of funding? I remember a couple of years ago there was some Homeland Security funding available. Are there any grants? Is there anything else available?
There are grants available. We have researched and applied for every available grant out there. And the biggest grant is called the AFG grant, which is Assistance of Firefighters, and it's a Homeland Security Federal FEMA grant. Readington will probably never get that grant for these types of trucks or anything because of our demographics here. They're more for the urban areas, the areas with less income. We're a very affluent area here, so this whole area of Hunterdon County is very difficult to get any kind of grants. We get local grants for stuff that helps us with our daily operations, but that's just a $1,000, $1,500 type of donation every once in a while. There's really no grants for these types of units or any emergency vehicles. Otherwise, we would have absolutely done that.
And to point to that too, our OEM coordinator, Joel, has been trying grants for generators for stations in the DPW for the last 2 or 3 years, and we're at a dead zone with that. And the same thing with our FEMA money for the reimbursement. I'm not sure if the town ever actually paid, but the fire companies and the emergency services rather have not. So, to go for grants. We've gone for grants for Scott House, and they turned down Scott Systems, to try to save money. So, you know.
I don't want to go off track, but you haven't been reimbursed for Sandy? Percentage-wise, what do they still owe you?
What's that?
Percentage-wise, what do they still owe you?
It's
50% but half of what they get us half. A year and a half ago, when we have paid since.
What's the status?
Joel's been waiting and waiting and waiting. Unless it's sitting here and we don't know about it.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I wish that were the case.
So this is an expensive purchase, absolutely, we understand that. Just like it was an expensive purchase last year for the fire company for $500,000 for the pumper. I think the key here is that it's going to serve the residents for 25 years. So space that out about 25 years over the cost of the truck, the lifetime of the truck, and it's a bargain for a life-saving infrastructure.
You know, some good points have been made here. Number one, it's a unique vehicle, and we can't share it. There's just no other vehicle in town. My concern is, and I'm going to mix in the fire companies with this as well. And I think it is important to maintain the level of public safety that we're used to. My concern is going forward. I think I would like to see us hire a consultant to look at the fire companies and see if there's a way of sharing equipment going forward, or maybe some consolidation of some sort. The thing that concerns me is that, you know, some of these prices are 2010, and what will they be next year when we're looking at a $1.1 million ladder? Do we need it? I mean, I'm not a fireman, I don't know, but I would like to see, if we do spend it, that we have some type of confirmation from an outside source that would convince us that this is the equipment that we need.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I don't have the expertise, and I think we get, I have to be careful how I say this because I'm a fan, but I think we get in a bad spot when we do the every year rotation thing. I think we need to take a look at what we really need, and if a particular rescue squad or fire company or something needs two things, I think we're not necessarily using the money to really satisfy the needs when we get in this rotation thing.
I agree.
I mean, it's the way I did it with my kids, and when I was teaching with Edward's So Turn, you're the line leader this week, but I'm not sure when we're talking with this amount of money that it's the most effective. I want it to be safe, but I'm not sure that it's the most effective way to do this rotation.
Well, this was what we brought up at the beginning, was this is definitely on an as-needed basis, and I think we all agree, even emergency services all agree, that it should be on an as-needed basis. Years ago, 15 years ago, it was, okay, your time is up here, here's money, what are you going to buy? When trucks didn't need to be replaced. That's all gone, and we all disagree with that because it's very expensive. The economy was very different back then. Now, with that being on an as-needed basis, if you prove the need and show the need, then my thoughts should be that the township committee should look at the purchase every year if there's a need. If there's not a need, you skip that year, you skip the next year. But you have to look at it all and really determine if there's a need. And I hope that I presented that there is a need for this truck.
I think, speaking on behalf of the emergency service, I think the fire companies, the four fire companies, have worked together, and we could probably work harder together with the equipment we have. And we can get into that to another conversation. However, I think what we need to focus on here is not to delay this. I mean, this should have been replaced in 2010.
I'm not saying that we delay this. I'm just saying that you have this document that you prepared last year, which I have in front of me, and I don't want emergency services to assume that because there's equipment, down on paper in black and white, that it's expected to be.
No, and I don't, and we agreed too, if you look back in the minutes or the tapes, that would be on a need basis.
Yeah.
Okay, we provided a need. White House Station is good for a while now. We provided our need last year, and we're good for a while. I don't know, not speaking for the other chiefs that are present, what their needs will be later on. We're speaking on the need.
Right, but it's needs for, it's sharing equipment. I think you.
Right, but this would be shared by two, not by, 4 fire companies. I mean, how does 3 Bridges Fire Company come up and share this piece of equipment?
I'm speaking about your plan. I'm not speaking about this piece of equipment. And
right.
what I'm saying is, yes, this is a unique piece of equipment, but there is a lot of same equipment that is owned, that's used by, that's parked in the different firehouses. And is there a way that some of this equipment could be shared, and is it even necessary? What I'm proposing is with this document here, that we look into the cost of a consultant for the fire companies going forward, based on your 5-year as needed.
I think that's fair.
What do we hire Joel for? He's part of that, he's an emergency service expert.
He's not.
Being evaluated.
And if I may, the last consulting that was in here, the Harry Carter report, I know we have a copy of it. I don't know where
I've read it. It's old.
it is, but if you look, some of the equipment that's still running should have been gone 5 years ago. So that's just, that was when we consulted. But we needed.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, do we need all equipment every year? That's what I'm saying. Can we share some equipment between fire companies going forward? That's my argument.
And we can look at that, yes.
Jeff, quick question. What's the lead time, delivery time on a vehicle like this?
Just over a year.
See, that's what I suspected. And, there's some urgency in this. And I think, Tom, I appreciate what you're saying with respect to the fire. But we need to, I think, take a serious look quickly at this particular vehicle. Because
I'm not denying that.
No, okay. I'm just commenting.
What Tom was saying is the fire company.
No, I know, I get that.
Yeah,
My point is, I think with focus on the vehicle that's the topic of discussion tonight, we need, as a governing body, need to discuss this seriously and in depth and quickly, because by the time we get done here, we're talking about a 24-year-old.
I think to answer your question, John, it takes a year, and for this year, we would have to put up a down payment, and it would cost us about $80,000, which I understand Tom has in his mind.
I'm not suggesting we take action tonight. I think
No, I'm
we
just
should
telling you that
that's clearly one of
some
the
planning that has been done
things.
in the budget, considering you don't have to pay the whole amount this year.
Yeah, I'm not going to sign on the dotted line tonight. I want to find out what the options are for financing and how the town would pay for it, and also what it would do to the our tax structure. Because this amount, just out of cash would be what, 2 cents on the 100?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've got to balance, do a balancing act here, and if we can do it, this is a critical piece of equipment.
This is not a cash.
I know, this would be bonded, and then how would that then added to our long-term debt? Yeah, okay.
I just had a couple of questions. I don't know anything about fire rescue equipment. But do any of our fire departments have a heavy rescue truck like this that transports people to scenes?
No, this is, like I said, a unique truck to the town, and it's the only one in the township. You know, there's 6 or 7 pumpers in the town, a couple command cars in town, 2 ladders, 2 tankers in town, 4 ambulances, and 1 rescue truck.
Jaws are where? This is the only Jaws
The
in
fire
town?
department doesn't have Jaws of Life in Parks?
Some buy them to assist us, but it's our primary responsibility to provide us to.
And it's not the full equipment. In other words, they have jaws in there that'll pop the door open. They don't have all the stabilization that's needed. It just goes on.
They're kind of different sizes. If you have a small vehicle, like what you have in the fire engine, they maybe open up the A big, or the ones in the heavy rescue truck open up the A big. So they're for bigger vehicles, you need bigger tools. They also carry equipment. They have there's an inflatable boat in there. So if you have people trapped down 629, you can take the boat out, inflate around the spot, and go over there and get them. There's just a lot of life-saving equipment like that. If you have someone who has their fingers caught out in something, like a machine, we have the equipment to cut things up and do some very fine work to get things, help individuals out. So that's the kind of specialized equipment, and that's why they have the presentation has all those different pictures and descriptions of actual calls where we use that equipment. Because most of that equipment you're not going to find a typical fire engine. The fire engine is there to fight fire. That's its primary mission.
Yeah,
Well, this one has a different mission in mind. It's not going to the DPW, like having a dump truck is different than having an excavator. They have a different mission in mind, and they're designed in a certain way. They may both have a shovel, but they're not meant to do one or the other.
Yeah, that was just my question, if there's another one in the township somewhere, and there's not. That's in one of the fire departments. I guess my other question is, does the Volvo with only 38,000 miles on it have any salvage value? Can we sell it and get back 100,000?
It's yours, yes.
No, you won't get that much. I'll give you an example. Our pumper is going to be traded in, and in answer to John's question is we signed a contract last June for our pumper. We're expecting that August of this year delivery. And the old one at 21 years old, the town's going to receive $7,500 from the trade. It's going to be from the builder, from the trade-in value. So our pumper that's being purchased, that's going to be delivered here. When we would put that in service and release the old one, the town will receive a check for $7,500 because the town owns that truck.
Now again, I don't know anything about this, but I have to say, I think it would be worth more in scrap than $7,500.
Well,
To sell it to a scrapyard, we get more money.
That's probably where it goes.
no, actually,
It just seems like maybe we're making a bad deal. I don't know if that's a good deal.
you're getting $7,500 on it, and they're probably going to sell it for $10,000 or $11,000. I mean, they're the middleman that buys it, and they do what needs to do and get it out of here. Now, trust me, Scott doesn't want to see it at the DPW yard. He's going to put it on a computer to sell a fire truck.
Now, the old Volvo that's looking for replacement this year has value. I'm not sure what it is, but we're looking around 40 or 50,000 for that as either trade-in or a private sale. So it is the township's truck. So whether it be reallocated in the township for another purpose, whether it could be for the dogs that are just here, whatever.
I'm
But
thinking eBay, I don't know.
but there are apparatus sites that would pick this up for that type of money and resell it.
Maybe they need it for the transmission.
Jeff, is there equipment on it that's salvageable?
Well, the equipment's coming off this truck and being put in a new truck.
Okay, that's what yeah.
Flemington, for example, when they got their new truck, they spent over $250 million in new equipment. So on top of that 1.1 million, add another $400 million for equipment. And in our case, we just take all the old stuff, the ice rescue suits, and we're going through the frozen ice with the big poles out of that, and we're just putting them from the old truck and the new truck.
We're very conservative. If you couldn't tell by now, we like to reuse and recycle, and that's why we looked at this truck and made sure that it was valued and was worth every penny of it. There's a lot of waste in emergency services, as you know. That is not us at all. We're very frugal. We tighten our belts. We operate very lean. We share a lot of services. So we get there.
For example, this last week on Thursday, we had 20 things in our building training together. We try to work with our partners the best we can. And we do the same for very quickly.
Would you, with this new piece, I know that you work very closely with White House Station. Would you have training sessions or demonstrations or whatever for the other 3 fire companies in town as well?
Absolutely.
Because you would be working, depending on where the calamity was, you'd be working.
We do have a good working relationship with all our fire departments. It just happens that White House Fire is
Next one.
next door to us, so it's really good.
Yeah.
We do have a partnership with East White House, and they train with us. For Bridges, we have a partnership with them as well, and Readington with a partnership. So all the other fire departments will train with this truck and we'll use it.
Anybody else? What suggestions? Do we do some more research? I mean, first of all, I think this truck aside, we need to find an outside independent consultant to take a look at the town as a whole and see, you know, we need another opinion. And I think, I'm not saying we're going to stop the rotation, but I think we have to stop the expectation of going round and round. You're next, you're next. You got one 3 years ago, so you know, I think we have to take a different
I
kind
don't
of.
expect anything at all. What I'm
Ever
expecting
again?
to listen and to see the need. That's what I'm
Yeah,
expecting.
and you've convinced me. I think I do want to find out what the bonding would be. Is that worth finding out now, or do you think
Yeah,
we
I would suggest that we ask Vita and Tom to
put a package
put a
to,
package
yeah,
together that
just so that we know, because,
what we might be able to afford and what it's going to be.
yeah.
And be mindful, if you're gonna borrow money for the bond, see what the, I don't know, 80,000 value of the truck, trade it, get that back, so keep that, you know, open mind to that. Trade it.
I'm just wondering if we paid off the last truck. It was the last 25 years, the last 21 years. Have we paid off the last truck?
Well, back then, the fire company, the town put up money, and the fire companies, I think it was a 50/50.
Well,
I
also,
don't know if they bonded, the town bonded back then.
also back then, the town, when they started this program, they paid a penny to the tax, and that was allocated for emergency services for this purchase way back 20-something years ago. So I'm sure the truck is paid off.
Okay. So I think that's a good idea. Let's look into how to bond.
Yeah. What do we mean?
Right.
I mean, because we're all trying so hard to keep taxes flat, to keep, you know, do our bit here.
Right. And and being that it is a unique piece of equipment, I think it's something that we seriously need to.
I think it has equipment on it that is not available anyplace else, and
But I would also like to, and I'm going to say it's about the third time, ask what it would cost to hire an outside consulting firm to look at fire equipment.
yeah, I think we charge Vita to look into that when she recovers from this.
Fire and rescue, right?
Yeah, just look at emergency services needs in the town. And so that's where we are. We're going to find out what we need to know, how many pennies we have to roll. And, you know, if I won that power, God, I tried so hard. I thought that was
I
it.
think we all did.
God, I told that woman I wanted 10 tickets to win and 9 others, and it didn't work. But,
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you everybody for listening to this for the last.
yeah, well, thank you. And thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you do.
I wanted to share something, I need to leave because I was out maintaining roads. while
Oh,
you
good of
folks
you.
were all
I think I saw you go past.
I try to make a lot of noise. Tim Atgar, Chief of the White House Station Fire Company, and Tom, I told you last year I would come before, and I didn't get here, but I have some statistics that I'll give to Karen or Vita, but since you were part of starting in 2007, the background checks and up to current. We had a total of 6 that went for background checks that were denied for whatever reason. We've had 3 that were current members and chose not to go through a background check and moved on to other ventures. Out of the 6 that were denied, that individual applied to the White House Rescue and the White House Fire Company. And this was in September of last year, 2014. He has since been charged with stealing fire radios out of East Amwell Fire Company and a fire company in Somerset County. And he sold them on eBay, tracked them on eBay and so forth. So again, with Tom working with our Chief of Police, Sebastian, and Emergency Services, those statistics were overdue. We're not at 100% yet with Emergency Services, but the other 2 companies are rolling, and the numbers were probably at like 75, 80% of getting everybody completed. So
Thank you for all you've done for that, to keep that moving too, because it was, early on, it was very
we
unpopular.
had a lot of hiccups to get through.
Yeah.
And with Tom and Bash, the chief.
And you, Tim. You work very hard, and Jeff. I mean,
all of us.
yeah. Okay.
Again, good night. And thank you.
Thank you. Drive carefully and plow my street.
No salt.
He's mine. Okay. Moving right along. An ordinance amending the penalty provisions of Chapter 148 entitled Noise of the Code of the Township of Readington, County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey. This is an ordinance just changing our fine schedule because the state enacted fines that are different from ours in terms of maximum penalties for noise. So we have to lower ours. Ours was $3,000 and the state had said $2,000. So it's not a big issue. We need to just, it's a housekeeping issue more than that. We don't make a whole lot of money on noise. We don't really, I don't want to say we don't enforce it, but that's sort of not, it's not one of our biggies. So do I ask for, I need a motion to introduce this ordinance amending the penalty provisions of Chapter 148.
148 or 58?
148. Well, let me see. Hang on. 158 noise, yeah. So this is a, I'm sorry, then I need a motion.
Let's see if it's correct on the written MD2,
158, okay. Sorry. Boy, you get the Inspector Gadget Award tonight, John. You're good. All right, so an ordinance, I need a motion to introduce an ordinance amending the penalty provisions of Chapter 158. Do I have a second? Roll call.
Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropello?
Yes.
Mayor Ford?
Yes.
Public hearing,
Public hearing, yeah. Next meeting?
March 2nd.
Okay. All right. Acceptance of performance bond, Triad Tool and Die Company, Block 39, Lot 53.18, 9 Commerce Street. Rob, do you want to address this at all?
Yes, they are looking to occupy the building. They need to yet finish the paving and the landscaping just due to weather conditions. So they posted this bond for those items so that they could get a certificate of occupancy.
And do you think that's enough to cover those items?
Yes, that will cover the items and everything else that's on the project.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to accept the performance bond from Triad Tool and Die Company? Do I have a second? Roll call.
Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Tropello?
Yes.
Mayor Ford?
Yes. Okay. release, and next item is the release of maintenance bond, American Tennis Courts Incorporated, Pickle Park Tennis Courts. Rob, you know what
That
that's?
should be acceptance of the maintenance bond. We're accepting their maintenance bond.
Oh, this says release.
Right, this should be acceptance.
Okay, for the tennis courts?
Correct.
Okay, well, let's redo that then. All right.
If I might have a question, I thought this was, we're releasing their bond because it's covered by a warranty somewhere else.
Insurance warranty.
The manufacturer's warranty.
It's been installed already.
Well, this is to accept the bond and put the bond in place, the maintenance. Right. So we have a one-year bond from insurance surety. We have the 25-year bond from Premier Court for the surface itself. And then there's a 2-year bond from American Tennis Courts for their work. The rest of the work they did, the fence, the painting, etc.
We're not releasing anything. We're
We're
setting
taking this bond, accepting it, right? This is
maintenance
starting
bond.
the clock on the work we've done.
Okay.
Now we're ready to put it under maintenance bond period.
Okay.
The memo was confusing, Rob, I have to say, the February 4th memo.
Yeah.
It says release of retainage, and then it says, based upon the above documents, I recommend release of the remaining retainage to American Tennis Courts.
Right, the warranty, in order to release their retainage, they had to provide us with a maintenance bond. So that's what they did, and I recommend that we release their retainage in the amount of $12,017.
So it's release of retainage and acceptance of the maintenance bond?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Two together.
Okay, great.
So, all right. So then I need a motion to approve releasing of the maintenance bond. No, releasing of the retaining bond and acceptance of the maintenance bond from American Tennis Courts Incorporated. Wow. Do I have a motion to do those things?
We have a motion to do those things.
I have a motion, I can't say it again. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Oriana?
Yes.
Mr. Broughton?
Yes.
Mrs. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Trapello?
Yes.
Mayor Ford?
Yes. Whew. All right.
Should be easy.
Yeah, this is an easy one, if I can get there. This is a request from the White House Fire Company for a coin toss fundraiser. They do it annual or biannual, I'm not sure which. The date will be June 5th and 6th with a rain date of June 12th and 13th on 5/23. It has been approved by our police department, but they do need to get clearance from the county freeholders since this is on a county road. Detective Rindock does not feel there is any problem with it. So do I have a motion to approve the request from the White House Fire Company to hold a coin toss fundraiser on June 5th and 6th with an alternate rain date of June 12th and 13th?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. This is the, that's all, that's consent. Okay, that's consent. Let's keep going here. Consent. The administrator, there was, what was this? Okay, we did Mike Wright. Did I do Mike Wright? Yes, okay. All right, then we have the administrator's report.
I think we have a blue light from the.
That was consent.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Administrator's report, since there's nothing, okay. Attorney's report. Rob, engineer's report.
I just have the road wreck job, the road wreck 2015 list that was given to Vita. Has the committee seen that?
No.
Okay.
No.
We have the road list, our priorities. You guys, the committee, to take a look at.
Drive them.
Drive the roads and see where we are with getting that done. The flooding at the Merck entrance, that culvert that needs to be cleaned out by the DOT, that work went out to bid on February 10th by the DOT, so I'll be following up with them to see were they able to award that to a contractor and find out when they might get that work done to clean out that culvert.
Okay.
Trying to alleviate some of that flooding.
All right, do you want to talk a little bit about the meeting with Clinton Township and Tukes on Potterstown Road? Just that.
Right, we had a meeting with them last week, and we were looking at doing a joint project to get Potterstown Road done. If we don't get the DOT money either way, DOT funding is not going to be released until around May. So we're starting the process to try and work with those two townships to get Potterstown Road fixed up.
Potterstown Road sort of crosses in and out of and sideways of all three towns. And I attended the meeting as well. It was a very nice meeting to see three townships that eager to work and share services, and that there was a lot of, well, your town does that better, so you do that, and we'll take care of this because we do that better. It was a very positive meeting. It was very nice. All right. Anything else? Nothing else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Committee reports, I think. Tom, Recreation, Police, Library Services?
Yes, the last recreation meeting, Girl Scout Cadet Troop 80758 gave a proposal to earn their silver award, and to earn that award, they want to put what's called a supernova at Pickle Park. Supernova is it looks like a ring. It's probably, I'm just looking at the picture, it's probably about 7 or 8 feet in diameter, and it's on a slant, and it has a ledge on it. And the idea is for kids, and it stands a few inches off the ground, and that the kids could walk on the ledge, and it rotates. So they're looking to raise funds to earn their silver award. There is a place in Pickle Park that's available right now that has wood chips installed, and the area is large enough to support this piece of equipment. The silver award is, they're looking to, the 3 young ladies who are looking to to earn the award are Rachel Bessiker, Gianna Crispy, and Lawrence Oletti. What they're looking for is some support from the township committee as far as funds are concerned to help them with this award. I'm not sure as a township we're able to do that. We would be setting a precedence, but I need to ask that question. I promise to ask that question. And maybe it's something that you could ask Vita. If that's something we could do, I don't want.
Yes, I would also ask Sharon if there's to be pick up a liability with respect to having a leg breaker in the park. I don't know.
Yeah, we did look into that. I don't think was an issue.
Did you check with the insurance?
Yeah, I think Vita did. Unfortunately, she's not here. It was presented to her by Gabrielle. I think the piece of equipment, would meet the criteria of safety and the installation. We have the area, a safe area for that. It's just they're looking for some support for funding. But I think maybe at the next meeting, if she could speak to this, that would be appreciated.
Again, I don't know if it's opening 2 doors. 1, asking for finance, and 2, having non-professionals recommending equipment for our parks and playgrounds. I don't know.
It was, I'm almost positive it was presented to the insurance company.
Yeah, I just wonder, what do we know about this piece of equipment in terms of use or anything? I don't know.
I'm sure, yeah, when we let
Let me do some research on that, yeah. Is that all?
that's it.
Okay, John, engineer, payment of bills, tax lien redemption?
No, we've covered, I was going to mention the Potterstown Road meeting we had.
Okay, yeah, you were there too, that's right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Liz, planning board, farmland, open space, and board of health?
The only thing I had was in response to a citizen comment or question at the last meeting that we had about the fencing that PSE&G installed across their high tension wire easements. And I guess the question was, is that fencing or impeding access to township open space? And so I went out and took a look, took some pictures, and I have those pictures in everyone's packet. I don't know if any members of the public would like to see them. But essentially, in the areas that it crosses the township open space, well, if you look from the road, it looks like a solid fence. If you walk up to it a little bit, you realize that a few sections are set back so that a person or a horse or someone on cross-country skis or snowshoeing could get in there, but theoretically an ATV or a truck or a car could not. And I spoke with Mr. Apgar, who's not here, I don't think anymore, and he said that it's not a competitive to emergency services because they would just utilize a bolt cutter to get right through the gate if they needed to get back there. So I think that's pretty much the resolution to that question, but if anyone wants to see the photos, they're here. And that's it.
Okay. Betty Ann Ford, planning board, zoning board, sewer advisory, historic preservation, museums, social service code enforcement, construction. I have just three small things with the historic preservation and the museums. First of all, I don't know if everybody knows, but the White House Mechanicsville Historic District, which was nominated for placement on the state and national register almost a year ago. And, well, no, it was the nomination was supported. It's been a 6-year-long process to get this district, which is basically Old Highway in White House, on the register. And it has, in December, we got word that it had been approved by the state, so that White House Mechanicsville is now on the state historic district and has been forwarded to Washington, D.C. for consideration for placement on the national register. So that's something we can be very proud of. We have several national register districts in Readington, and we take our history very seriously. The other thing is the housekeeping on historic preservation. The two alternates, Derek Dinderland and John Woodward, asked to switch places. One of them was the first alternate, originally John Woodward, and Derek was the second, and for reasons that I'm not quite sure of, Mr. Woodward approached us and asked us to make Derek the first alternate and John Woodward the second alternate, which I bring up. I don't know if I need to take any formal action. Do I need to amend the resolution?
No, I would just do a motion switching the two of them.
Okay, then